My girlfriend went away for a girls' weekend and returned with an engagement ring. When I inquired about it, she said, "We need to talk." I responded, "Not necessary." Then, while she was at her parents' breaking the news, I had her things moved out. Her fiancé's reaction when he learned she had been living with me was priceless. I'm a 31-year-old man sitting in my mostly empty apartment right now, sipping a beer that tastes like a mix of victory and disbelief. What a wild weekend. Let me explain. I've been with my girlfriend, who is 28, for nearly 4 years, and we've lived together for 2.5 of those in my apartment. It's solely in my name. She moved in after her last roommate situation fell apart, and it just continued. She contributed to groceries and utilities, while I covered rent, which seemed fair since she was paying off student loans. Last Thursday, she told me she was going away for a girls' weekend with her college friends. No big deal. She does these trips maybe twice a year. I trusted her, past tense now. She left on Friday morning with a kiss and love you. Sunday evening, I was on the couch playing video games when I heard her key in the lock. She walked in looking different, like she'd been crying but also strangely happy. And then I saw it, a ring on her finger. A big one, not the promise ring I gave her 2 years ago. "Hey babe," she said casually, dropping her bag. I paused my game. "What's on your hand?" She looked down as if she had forgotten it was there. "Oh, we need to talk." I just stared at her, my mind racing through 15 different scenarios, none good. "We need to talk about what exactly?" "Because that looks like an engagement ring." She sat down across from me, took a deep breath. "So, I've been seeing someone else for about 8 months, and he proposed this weekend." I interrupted. "And you said yes?" 8 months. She started to say his name, but I didn't care. "You've been cheating on me for 8 months while living in my apartment, eating food I paid for, sleeping in my bed. It's not that simple. When's the wedding?" She blinked. "What? The wedding? When is it?" "June." "Cool. You should probably tell your parents that big news, engagement and all." She looked confused by my calmness. Honestly, I was confused by it too. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I was ice cold. "Yes, I'm going to see them tomorrow to tell them in person." "Great idea. Family should hear this stuff face to face." "You're being really weird about this." "Am I? My girlfriend of 4 years just told me she's engaged to another man after cheating on me for 8 months. How should I be acting?" She started crying. "I didn't want it to happen this way. I was going to tell you, but then he proposed and I couldn't say no." "No need to explain," I said. "Seriously, no need." She went to our bedroom, and I stayed on the couch, not sleeping a minute. Monday morning, she left for work and texted me that she was going to her parents' house to share the news. Perfect. The second she left, I called my buddy who owns a moving company and explained the situation. He had guys available that afternoon. The emergency rate was steep but worth every penny. While I waited, I walked through the apartment, documenting everything that was mine versus hers. I took photos of the space before we started. Her things were pretty contained: clothes, personal items, some kitchen gadgets, her desk, and books. Nothing was mixed ownership since we never officially combined households. The movers showed up at 2 p.m., and by 5 p.m., every single item that belonged to her was loaded into a storage pod outside her parents' house. I had called ahead to a storage company, rented a small unit, and had them drop it in the driveway with a note. "Your belongings are stored for 1 month. Unit code is your birthday." I changed the locks at 6 p.m. The locksmith was understanding when I gave him the short version. Then I sat down and waited. My phone started blowing up around 8 p.m. "Why is all my stuff at my parents' house? Did you change the locks? You can't do this. I live there. Mom, what is going on? Why are we looking at a storage container? I'm coming over. You better answer." I turned my phone to silent and ordered Thai food. The doorbell started ringing around 9:30 p.m., followed by knocking and her voice through the door. "Open up. You can't just throw me out. I have tenant rights." I spoke through the door. "You're not on the lease. You've been cheating on me for 8 months. You're engaged to another man. Consider this your move-out notice." "I'll call the cops." "Go ahead. Explain to them that you want back into your ex-boyfriend's apartment." Silence. Then crying. Then her mom's voice. She'd driven over too, apparently. "Young man, open this door right now. My daughter has rights." "Ma'am, your daughter has a fiancé. Maybe she should stay with him." More silence. Then I heard them leave. Here's where it gets interesting. Remember how she said she was going to her parents to share the good news? Well, her new fiancé apparently didn't know she'd been living with someone. He thought she had her own place. Her parents didn't even know we were still together. She'd told them, "We broke up months ago." The web of lies she had constructed was impressive in a sick way. My phone rang around 11 p.m. An unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. "Is this me?" A shaky voice responded. "I'm her fiancé. I think we need to talk." "Oh, buddy," I said. "Yeah, we really do." Update 1. 4 days later. "So, that phone call with the fiancé?" "Yeah, that was something." He sounded devastated, genuinely broken. It turns out my now ex had told him she lived with a female roommate. When she went home to her apartment, she was actually coming to my place. The nights she stayed with him, she told me she was working late or at a friend's house. The level of planning for this double life was honestly insane. "She told me you were her ex from years ago," he said, "that you were totally out of the picture." "Buddy, I was in the picture until approximately 48 hours ago when she walked in wearing your ring." He asked if we could meet and talk in person. I agreed. We met at a coffee shop that Tuesday afternoon. He was a nice guy, actually, about my age and working in finance. Clearly had money, which explained the ring. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "How did you not know?" I asked, genuinely curious. She was so convincing. She'd video call me from her apartment, and I now realize she was always in the same corner of your apartment. The background always looked the same because it was the same. She told me you were her cousin when your name popped up on her phone once. He laughed bitterly. "Cousin? That's creative." We compared notes. 8 months of overlapping timelines, lies, fake business trips, family emergencies. She'd told him she was going on a work retreat that weekend. The weekend she was supposedly on a girls' trip when he proposed. "Wait," I said. "You proposed at a work retreat? You thought she was attending?" "No, I surprised her there. Flew out Thursday night, proposed Friday. So there was no girls' weekend. There was no work retreat. Just a hotel room somewhere where she was meeting him and lying to both of us about the circumstances." "What are you going to do?" I asked. "I don't know, man. I love her. Or I thought I did. I don't know who I've been loving. She's not who either of us thought she was." He nodded. We shook hands and parted ways. Strange bonding experience. Meanwhile, the entitlement parade began. My ex decided that the best strategy was denial and attack. Her mother called me Wednesday morning. "You need to let her back in to get the rest of her things. All her things are in the storage unit. She says you kept some of her belongings, valuable items. Every item she owned is in that pod. I documented everything before the movers touched it. She says you're lying." Cool. She also told her fiancé she lived with a female roommate and told you we broke up months ago. I'm sure her credibility is rock solid. Click. She hung up on me. Then came the sister. Oh, the sister. She showed up at my door Thursday evening. "Hey, jerk," she said when I cracked the door. "We need to discuss your behavior." "My behavior?" "You traumatized my sister. She's been crying for days. She cheated on me for 8 months and got engaged to another man while living in my apartment. I moved her stuff out. I'm struggling to find the trauma here. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. An 8-month affair and secret engagement is a lifestyle choice. You're being vindictive. She wants to come get some things she says you kept. I didn't keep anything. Everything is in the storage unit. She says there's jewelry. The only jewelry in this apartment is the promise ring I gave her, which she left on the kitchen counter. I assume she didn't want it conflicting with her engagement ring. The sister's face twitched. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I'm making it exactly as hard as she made my last 4 years. Actually, I'm being nicer. I could have dumped everything on the curb. She left, muttering about what a terrible person I am. Friday brought the wild card. My ex's best friend, the one she was supposedly having a girls' weekend with. Except, plot twist, there was no girls' weekend. She texted me, "Hey, can we talk? I feel terrible." We met for coffee. She looked genuinely upset. "I had no idea," she said. She told me she needed me to cover for her if you ever asked about the trip. Said she was planning a surprise for your birthday. My birthday is in February. I know that now. She put her head in her hands. I helped her cheat. I feel awful. You didn't know, but I should have asked more questions. She used me. This was the first person in her circle who wasn't immediately attacking me or making excuses. Refreshing. What's she saying about all this? I asked. That you overreacted? That she was going to end it with you anyway, and you just sped up the timeline. That you're being petty. Petty. Interesting word choice for a guy who got cheated on and simply removed the cheater from his home. I know. I told her she was delusional. She didn't appreciate that. I don't think we're friends anymore. Welcome to the club. Update 2. 2 weeks later, the situation escalated in ways I genuinely didn't expect. First, the fiancé broke off the engagement. He couldn't get past the lies. Can't say I blame him. He texted me to let me know, saying he appreciated my honesty when we met. I told him there were no hard feelings toward him, and meant it. The dude was just as much a victim as I was. My ex's reaction to losing the engagement was explosive. She called me 17 times in one day, leaving voicemails that ranged from sobbing apologies to screaming accusations. The highlights: you ruined my life. I was going to be happy. I never loved him. I was going to come back to you. You turned him against me. This is your fault. It's fascinating how she was simultaneously going to be happy with him and planning to come back to me. Schrodinger's cheater. I didn't respond to any of it, just screenshotted everything for documentation. Then came the dirty tricks. Trick 1. She told her parents I had been emotionally abusive throughout our relationship. Her dad called me, voice shaking with anger, demanding to know what I'd done to his daughter. I calmly asked him to ask his daughter why she maintained a secret boyfriend for 8 months while living with me rent-free. He hung up, but I could hear the doubt in his voice before he did. Trick 2. She showed up at my apartment with a cop, claiming she needed a civil standby to retrieve her belongings. I invited them both in, showed the officer the photos I'd taken before the move out, the storage unit rental agreement, and the note I'd left. He looked at her. Ma'am, it appears he returned all your belongings to you. But he kept some things. I know he did. What specifically? Just things. The officer gave me a look that said he understood exactly what was happening. They left, and she was furious. Trick 3. This one hurt. She contacted my younger brother's girlfriend and told her I had violent tendencies and she should be careful. When my brother called me confused, I had to explain the whole situation. He was mad, not at me but at her. His girlfriend didn't believe the accusations for a second, thankfully. Trick 4. She tried to claim she'd paid rent, sending me a Venmo request for $14,000, citing rent payments over 2 years. Except she'd never paid rent, not once, and Venmo has records. My contributions to shared expenses were well documented, and hers were just groceries and utilities, which I also had records of. I declined the request with a simple LOL. No. Her mom tried a different approach, the guilt trip. She called me, voice soft and motherly. You know, she's really struggling. She lost her fiancé, her home, and you. She's staying in her childhood bedroom, crying all day. Is this really what you wanted? What I wanted was a girlfriend who didn't cheat on me for 8 months and get engaged to another man. But we don't always get what we want, do we? She made a mistake, a big one. But 4 years has to mean something. It meant something to me. Apparently not to her. She made her choice. Several choices, actually over 8 months. This isn't one mistake. It's a pattern. You could give her another chance. She was using me for free housing while building a life with someone else. That's not a mistake. That's a strategy. A strategy that failed. I'm not the backup plan she gets to activate because plan A fell through. Silence. You've changed. You used to be such a nice young man. I'm still nice, just not stupid anymore. She hung up. My ex made one last attempt herself. She showed up at my workplace, just appearing in the lobby and asking the receptionist to call me down for a family emergency. Luckily, my receptionist is a real one. I'd given her a heads up. There's a woman here claiming to be your sister. Says there's an emergency. I don't have a sister. That's my ex. Please ask her to leave. The receptionist said loudly enough for my ex to hear. I'm sorry, ma'am. He says you're his ex-girlfriend and asks that you leave the premises. I could hear the explosion from my desk 3 floors up. Security escorted her out while she cried and yelled about how I was ruining her life and refusing to even talk. The security footage became somewhat legendary in the building. My boss asked me about it later. I gave him the short version. He laughed and said, "Women, am I right?" Which was inappropriate but also kind of validating. Final update, 6 weeks later. It's been about 2 months since the engagement ring revelation. Time to wrap this up. The aftermath unfolded in ways I couldn't have predicted. First, my ex moved back to her college town. Apparently, the humiliation of everyone discovering her double life was too much. Her friend, the one who reached out to me, told me the full extent of the fallout. The fiancé hadn't just broken off the engagement, he'd told his family why. His mom ran in the same social circles as my ex's mom's book club friends or something. Small world. The story spread. My ex went from getting engaged to getting caught living with her boyfriend while getting engaged to another man in about 10 days. Social death. Her job situation became complicated too, not because of anything I did. I stayed completely out of that lane. But her fiancé worked in the same industry. Different company, but there was a lot of professional overlap. Networking events became awkward. She ended up transferring to a different office in another state. Technically a lateral move, but everyone knew it was an escape. As for me, the apartment felt strange for a while, too quiet. I deep cleaned everything, tossed out the sheets, bought new ones, and rearranged the furniture so nothing was where it used to be when she was there. Financially, I was fine. We never combined anything significant. The storage unit I had prepaid for ran out last month. Her parents picked up her stuff before the deadline. No contact with me, probably for the best. The fiancé texted me one last time about a month ago. He said he was doing better and starting to date again. He thanked me for being honest with him when we met. I wished him luck genuinely. My brother and his girlfriend checked in regularly for a few weeks. The attempted reputation smear didn't work, but it annoyed them on my behalf. My brother said if he ever saw my ex again, he'd have words. I told him not to bother. She wasn't worth the energy. The weirdest part? My ex's dad sent me a letter, an actual handwritten letter, apologizing for his phone call where he accused me of abuse. He said his daughter had finally told them the truth, and that he was ashamed of how they'd treated me. He hoped I'd find someone who deserved me. I didn't respond. I wasn't sure what to say, but I kept the letter. Sometimes people surprise you. My ex tried to reach out one last time via email since I'd blocked her everywhere else. It was a long message about how she had been lost and made terrible decisions and hoped someday I could understand. I read it but didn't respond. Understanding doesn't mean forgiveness, and forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I understand exactly what happened. She wanted it all, the stable boyfriend at home and the exciting new relationship on the side. She got caught and lost everything. That's not my fault. That's not even tragic. That's just consequences. I'm not going to pretend I'm totally fine. Trust issues are real. I started seeing a therapist, not because I'm broken, but because processing 4 years of what I thought was real being revealed as partially fake takes effort. My therapist says I handled everything remarkably well considering the circumstances. I told her I just did what made sense. She said, "That's exactly what healthy people do." The dating apps are downloaded, but mostly untouched. I'm not ready yet, and that's okay. What I've learned from all this. Trust your instincts, but also trust documentation. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them immediately. When you own the apartment, the lease, and the locks, you own the exit strategy. She played a complicated game with multiple players and thought she was winning. Turns out she was just juggling, and eventually, you drop the balls. I didn't do anything dramatic. I didn't key anyone's car or blast anything online. I just removed myself from her game entirely and let reality do the heavy lifting. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being done, walking away completely and letting them figure out how to survive when the safety net they were secretly using gets pulled out from under them. She lost the engagement, the apartment, the backup plan, her social circle, her job, and had to move back home as an adult. All I did was change some locks and hire some movers. Actions have consequences. Sometimes those consequences come with storage fees. Anyway, thanks for following along. It's time to close this chapter and figure out what comes next. Whatever it is, it won't involve engagement rings that aren't mine.